Fox News alert: 4 Israelis have been shot and killed in the West Bank. Among the dead, a pregnant woman. According to reports just out of Jerusalem, Palestinian gunmen opened fire on their car. This could mean problems for the president's peace talks, of course. We're going to have a live report on this straight ahead, along with its implications. Well, the new poll suggests that the opposition to President Obama's health care law continues to grow. According to the Kaiser tracking poll, 43% now say they have a favorable opinion of this law, and that is down from 50% just last month, while the number of folks who have an unfavorable view of the law is on the rise. Meantime, our Health and Human Services Secretary says these numbers are explained by a confused American public. Joining me now, Leslie Marshall, a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor, and Mark Thiessen, former speechwriter for President George W. Bush and author of the book Courting Disaster. All right, thank you so much both for being here. So I thought it was interesting to see Kathleen Sebelius, Mark, come out and say, and this is even before the Kaiser poll, but when she was interviewed, the Kaiser Family Foundation poll was actually the one poll that Democrats were pointing to show, well, it's not as bad as people think, and now even Kaiser shows the support for the law is falling. But in any event, her answer to the other poll showing lack of support is there's a great deal of confusion about what's in the law, and she attributes that to, quote, misinformation given on a 24/7 basis, and says, quote, we have a lot of re-education to do. Is that the problem?
Well, you know, the Democrats, for 2 years now, the Democrats have been educating us and re-educating us about this plan. If you go to the White House website, President Obama, according to the White House, has given more than 400 speeches and remarks on health care. And they keep telling the American people, well, you don't understand. At some point, that starts to get insulting. Maybe the problem isn't that the American people don't understand. Maybe it's that they understand it just fine and they don't like it. And if this big push that you described over the summer, where they sent out 43 million pamphlets and they put the president out on the hustings, and the polls show that it's dropped 10 points since the beginning of the summer. So Americans understand this bill just fine. They just don't like it. What
of that point, Leslie, that it's insulting at this point for the administration to be saying, you know, people don't understand and they're confused, and if they only understood better, then they would like our law?
Oh, I don't think it's insulting at all. I think it's facts and reality versus fiction and perception. You know, my husband's a physician. We own a medical practice. I can't tell you how many times people say to him, hey, doc, can I still use my insurance now that health care reform is passed? And quite frankly, the administration is partially to blame. So I don't think it's insulting to the American people. I think it's factual. There's a lot of misinformation. I think a lot of people will hear something. It almost reminds me of people believing the earth was flat and Columbus is yelling, no, it's round, let me show you. No, it's round, let me show you. Because this is what is going on now. There are a lot of people that think they're going to lose their benefits, et cetera, and that's just not true. And remember, the polls show a lack of favorability for the handling of health care reform, not the reform specifically.
No. The polls show opposition to the health care law. I mean, the latest average from realcarepolitics.com is 51.2% oppose the law, 39.4% favor the law. That's an average of Rasmussen, CNN, PPP, CBS, Pew, National Journal. I mean, it's more than a 10-point spread against the law. And actually, it's 56% of those polled want it repealed, according to Rasmussen reports. Mark?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, just so you want to talk about insulting, you just called the American people flat earthers. I mean, the problem is if after 2 years of educating the American people on this plan is so complicated that they can't get their heads wrapped around the details of it, maybe the problem is with the plan, not with the people. When the American people hear a plan that President Obama speaks 400 times trying to explain this to them, and it's such a complicated plan, the government's coming to them with a plan that's so complicated that they can't understand it, they probably think the government can't pull it off. The big issue in this election is jobs, and Obamacare is going to kill jobs. You know, Nancy Pelosi said it would create 400,000 jobs immediately. Well, the CBO just came out last week and said that Obamacare is actually going to kill jobs. So the only thing people are more upset about in this economy than Obamacare in this election is jobs. And now we learned that Obamacare is a job-killing machine.
Leslie, don't you think that the truth, whatever it is, whether it's your truth or it's Mark's truth, it will play out, right, over the next couple of years before President Obama runs for re-election? We're going to know one way or the other, whether it's cost jobs or whether it's cost the American public or whether it's cost coverage or so on. At least we'll know in part because the law doesn't really fully take effect until after he runs. But, if it doesn't play out the way the Democrats promised, how is the administration going to spin that?
Well, obviously, there's no need to spin if it does play out the way it's been promised, which even though I'm a pessimist, I believe that it will. And that's one of the problems here. Remember, Americans were really on board when there was a public option. There was no more public option. Things became watered down. We're in a bad economy. I agree with Mark regarding jobs in the sense that right now people believe that health care, even though it hasn't taken effect, is contributing to the negative economy, is responsible for the negative economy, and will be responsible now and in the future for less jobs and for higher unemployment. That all stems from that huge four-letter word fear, which Americans wake up daily to, and health care has been thrown into that umbrella of fear.
Interesting. So she's saying basically it's a messaging problem that again, I guess Leslie agrees with Sebelius that it's a misinformation given on a 24/7 basis has caused those problems, not the actual policies, Mark.
Well, it's not fear or irrational fear. It's the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, which said that it's going to kill jobs. This plan is going to come into contact with reality. But, you know, again, if somebody keeps explaining something to the American people, they have expended no lack of effort in trying to explain this and win people over. They said that, well, what we're going to do is we're going to focus people on the benefits they're going to get. And that's what they did this whole summer. A $125 million campaign launched to sell the benefits of it. Well, that Kaiser poll you cited shows that only a third of the American people think their lives are going to improve because of this bill. So something is not working, and it's not the messenger, it's the message.
Well, it's an interesting debate. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the coming days now that Kaiser is showing similar numbers to the other polls. But in any event, panel, always a pleasure. Leslie, thank you. Mark, you as well.
Thank you.
Folks, we're getting reports